So hello, Dr. Bhairavi Shankar. I am a space scientist and I am also a planetary geologist, which means that I did geology, study of rocks in the solar system when I was studying. I have graduated with a PhD from Western University in London, Ontario. And this picture is just showing you a little of what it is I do outside of running the company. So in the past, I have got the opportunity to travel, go and see a lot of places on Earth that look a lot like other places in our solar system. And I have enjoyed that process, and I always love to come back and share with students or the general public about what we know about our own home planet and how it can tell us about our beyond our home planet. So over to Ming.
对，那 Shanka 博士刚刚做了一个简要的自我介绍，之前我也提到了，他是毕业于西安德略大学的博士学位，然后呢，他主要是从事天文以及太空地质学方面的研究。那除了成立他自己的工作室、他的这个培训中心之外呢，他也去过很多不同的地方。那他非常荣幸能够在地球上去找到那些跟外太空特别相似的一些场景，能够通过研究我们的地球，更多的去了解外太空的一些情况。那他今天呢，非常荣幸他能给大家做这样一个简短的介绍。Okay, go ahead.
Okay, so my colleague is not here with us today, but I also wanted to introduce you to Celia Du, who often in our programming also helps facilitate some of the activities. She is a chemist by profession, but also a science communicator. And through her journey, she is able to add that very important value of how we communicate to a general audience on something very technical, like a science topic or a tech topic or engineering. And so she has had experience both in Canada, but also in Europe. And now she actively works on space-related topics with Induspace and a few other organizations. So she's not here, unfortunately, but I did want to mention about her participation with us.
Dr. Shanka 博士呢，也希望隆重的推出他的合作伙伴，那么叫 Cecilia Du。那通常情况下呢，Dr. Shanka 的课程上都会有2位老师一起来进行教学。那所以呢，通常我们是见到 Cecilia 学习化学专业的，但是他是一个非常好的一个沟通人士，他是负责帮助科学家跟学生进行沟通。他自己本身呢，也对机械工程有非常浓厚的兴趣，他也经常去到欧洲和亚洲其他的国家，帮助不同的学校和科学家之间进行沟通，互相促进了解。
Okay, so the next slide is actually a video. So a little bit about our company. I started Induspace back in 2018. And so in the last year and a half, we have slowly increased our frequency of programs. But this video is a little thing that we put up on YouTube to help everyone understand what it is that we do. So it is in English. I hope the closed captions show up, but if not, I will add the YouTube link in our chat. And then perhaps anyone interested can look back at it again. So give me 1 second.
下面的Shanka博士会给大家看一小段录像。那么通过这个小段录像呢，大家可以了解到我们的课程是怎么开展的，我们授课的一些方式。那么是很短小的一段，它上面通常会有字幕，所以大家如果有什么不太清楚呢，也可以通过聊天窗口给我们提出来。Okay, yeah, go ahead.
Do you hear it? Oh, okay. I now know what happened. Okay.
Yeah, you need to go back to share and then audio.
Yeah, I'll. years, the space community has expanded our collective understanding. Okay. Now you can hear that just a little bit.
Yeah.
Okay. What does space mean to you? To many, it means curiosity, vastness, mystery, wonder, and exploration. Over the past 50 years, the space community has expanded our collective understanding of the solar system and beyond through many advances in robotic and human capabilities. Nearly every aspect of our daily lives is touched and made better by space innovation. We use GPS to help us navigate, satellites in orbit help us communicate with one another and observe Earth. Sending astronauts to space has resulted in many breakthroughs right here on Earth. Medical advancements can trace their early roots to space. Canada is a major player on the global scale in space exploration, thus making us leaders in areas such as Earth observation, communications, robotics, and planetary exploration. With Canada's continued commitments to space research and building innovative technologies for ongoing and future missions, the space community will actively develop cutting-edge solutions and push the boundaries for many decades to come. This means the workforce will rely on strong foundations of STEAM, the ability to understand scientific methods, digital literacy, and problem solving. At Indus Space, we engage youth, educators, and the public at large in topics related to space science and exploration. Our workshops, after-school programs, day camps, and virtual programming provide youth many opportunities to learn the latest in space topics and meet many local space professionals. We also work with educators and instructors to incorporate space science-themed learning materials in your classrooms that meet curriculum objectives. As a social enterprise, we engage with several organizations within the communities to ensure equitable programming for all. Visit our website to learn more about our programming and let Indus Space help you explore Earth and beyond. Okay, so that was a little preview of what it is that Indus Space often does. Before COVID hit, we were going into classrooms. We were working with Upswing in more in-person activities. But because of the pandemic and the need for physical distancing, we've actually moved all the programs to a virtual platform. So we are just in the midst of wrapping up our 10-week program with Upswing Academy. And in that process, we have given the participants a little bit of all topics within space. And we're excited to continue that on into the summer, continuing with a virtual program, but now we are actually creating programs specific to certain grade levels. So as you can see in this slide, it is a little bit for the junior grades, just very early tangible, so like some ways to touch, but also understand some very simple concepts of space. Moving on to higher grades, like our Star Explorer program, we offered in the spring. We're continuing that, but now in a more virtual platform. Again, with each of these programs, it is a new introduction to space topics under the STEM umbrella. And then later on, a new program that we're coming up with is a very focused program for engineering. So engineering has so many components. We want to see how it ties very significantly to the space community, right? From robotics to a little like design and launching maybe a little robot. Again, whatever is possible in virtual, but at the same time, we're excited to bring that specific to engineering.
我们跟Shanka博士合作呢，目前推出了有3个适合不同年级的课程。那么1到3年级的课程呢，主要是启发孩子对太空的兴趣，然后了解我们的太阳系。然后4到6年级的学生呢，我们叫做探索星空。那么我们可以走到太阳系了解不同的星球，我们星球、太阳、恒星发展等等这样的信息。然后针对6到9年级大一些的孩子呢，我们提供的是一个天文工程这样的课程。那么它会帮助孩子了解在太空，那我们会用什么样的机械，我们用什么样的一些工程的一些原理来达到我们探索太空的一些目的。
Okay, so I'm actually done with this part of the presentation. I'm happy to take questions. The next thing on my slide was the activity. So maybe I'll give it a few minutes, see if any of the parents have any specific questions, and then we can move forward.
Okay, so how about we do the questions after this? Let
Sure.
think about it. OK，那各位家长朋友，如果您有什么问题呢，您可以通过这个聊天的窗口给我们发过来，那我们可以帮您来进行解答。那下面呢，我请Shanka 博士来跟我们的孩子们一起来做这个天文的游戏。OK，yeah，let's go ahead.
Okay, so I see a few are having, in the little previews that I can see of our participants, a few have cut out their circles. This is great. We still have a couple of minutes before we have to do that, but if you're still working away, cutting out those shapes from the document I sent, yeah, continue on. But for the rest of you, start tuning in. We'll actually dive into our specific topic today, which was its own slide. It is time for the activity. So if I put this picture up, can someone, anyone, you could also write it in the chat window, which has been quite active, I've noticed. If you want to write in the chat window, what is it that you observe from this picture? I'll give you 30 seconds. So if you want to type. And while we wait for someone to type, I'll ask you, Ming, what is it that you notice from this picture?
I can see the Milky Way.
Okay. How about anyone else? Stars. Oh. Someone says we cannot type, but you are typing, so I'm able to see that. You are, someone had mentioned stars, thank you. Yes, there are stars. Maybe there was some Milky Way, yeah. This picture might also help you see it a bit easier. Milky Way, stars, and boats, yeah. Yeah, this is typical of what you might see maybe when the situation improves if we were to go camping, right? So both the previous picture and this picture was taken where you're away from the city lights, you're able to, your eyes start to focus on what is in the night sky. Luckily, if you don't have any buildings or any sort of obstruction, you can actually see a wider part of the night sky all the way to the horizon. And many of you have mentioned Milky Way and stars. Those are all, and perhaps clouds. That is the unfortunate thing. Sometimes astronomers have to deal with clouds. You do see parts of the sky, and often stars tend to, just have their own brightness or any sort of shine to it or twinkling. But as it may be quite obvious, someone had mentioned, I think Sirius is a star, but sometimes if you happen to know those shapes of certain stars forming in a certain style, that's what is known as constellations. I'm guessing if you want to do a raised hand approach, how many have heard of constellations? And am I able to see? I see some raised hands. This is exciting. Yeah. So constellations has been often the easiest way for cultures like the Chinese culture, the Indian culture, any of our cultures back in the day when we didn't have our cell phones or any of those apps that or games that we seem to all like to play. Often we would just look up at the night sky, start to notice some pictures, and actually start to even identify them on the night sky, give it a name, give it a bit of a story. And that became easier for us to then actually identify where in the night sky we need to look, right? And so earliest things that astronomers or even the general public started to put together were constellations. So in this example, I have this star map on the right half. It's dark, it has some dots. Are you able to find the general pattern of the picture that you see on the left? And if you do, I've already seen someone has used the annotate feature. Someone said Betelgeuse and Rigel, so very good. This is the Orion constellation. Are you able to identify Orion constellation on the right half of this image? I will give you a minute to try it out. All they look like are dots. Oh, someone has done it. Okay, all right. That's one guess. Everyone else agree? And when you're done, please clear your annotation. That way we can look back at the original picture. Or I think we can do that too. Okay. Wow. So you're able to see all of those dots in that formation right there. All right. I'm about to clear everyone's drawings. And thank you. All right. All right. And when we're ready, are we still continuing to annotate? Okay. That is where the Orion constellation ended up in that image. So it's right over in that top right half. Sometimes it's easy to spot it. Sometimes it's not that, it doesn't pop out similarly. But now we're gonna move over to the next picture. How about this one? Really? Ming, are you able to disable the annotate function?
I need actually the administrator to do that. I don't think I have. Okay, can we stop annotating for now, everyone?
All right.
Okay, yeah, thank you. Thank you for the help.
All right. You're on the right track. That's right. Okay. That is where, yeah. Oh, I should have moved back. Yes. So I'm going to annotate now. So don't clear it just yet. But yes, this is the essential shape of the Little Dipper. And that's where it is located. So often we kind of do this even when we look up at the night sky on a clear night. I will encourage you tonight, if it is possible and there is no rain in the forecast, to go outside in your backyard maybe and actually try to look at what you could actually see. Are there any bright stars even from where you're located? And what do those stars, are you able to even tell a shape, if that's even possible? So a little bit of our, ooh, my windows seem to have moved. Okay, there we go. What I would encourage you to now do is to visit this website at the top. So I will write it in the chat window. And if you're typing faster than I am, you could actually visit that website. Interactive sky chart. Okay, yeah, if you want to click on this, this is essentially a view of, it's a digital view of what the night sky might look like. A couple of things, if you want, you could enter your postal code, kind of where the red box is, and make sure to actually fix the date. And let's try, what does the night sky look like for tonight when it is, well, my slide is old, but it should say June 25th. And let's choose 9 p.m. and see what the sky looks like. And we can also disable annotation again. So who wants to tell me again in the chat window, How does the sky look like tonight for 9 p.m.? Nope. Ryan, at a later point, we can explain how to draw. But for now, you don't have to draw. We'll go back to the website. So I'm going to give 30 seconds if someone wants to type in, how does it look like for 9 p.m.? Mine is a screenshot, so it's not actually going to click on a button if you were expecting my thing to show. And then I'm going to ask, how does it look like at 10 p.m.? Polaris, okay. Where's the minor? So fortunately, the name No, which, okay, I hope that's not, yeah, I don't think that's the name, but has been listing a few constellations that are maybe appearing on your view. Ryan, you said clear sky. Right, so that means you're still able to see some sort of sunlight in there. What happens when you change the time to maybe 9:45 or 10? It says clear sky. So yeah, clear sky, meaning that you're still seeing some of the sunlight. The sun hasn't set yet, right? Yes, thank you for asking nicely if you could stop annotating, because it is pretty distracting. Antares, all right. I'm excited to see some constellation names and star names show up on the chat window. So while you're still figuring that out, what I wanted to point out was that there is, okay, I'm gonna ask for this annotation to be disabled for everyone, if that is still possible. Where you see the blue arrow, there's a little green box of a window that just shows you specifically what your location might be. You can actually turn you can drag and drop that green, I guess, feature. And actually, as you're moving it to a different location, what you're seeing on the left half of the screen is what it looks like from horizon, from that direction. So you may only see parts of some constellations, and you may only see some of the stars in that actual view. But really, the more you sort of tilt your head towards upright, is more of how you would see what's in the center part of that circle. And so with that, what we're gonna now do is look at our activity, the one that I'd asked you to print off. Okay. One of the other questions that I often ask is what happens at sunset? We've just done that between 9 and 9:30. Sunset is happening somewhere in there. All right, so now, I'm assuming everyone has actually cut out those two printouts that I had shared. What you're gonna do is basically, you're gonna take the, say the right half image. Yeah, so whatever is on the right half over here, you're gonna take it, and all the flaps that were on the sides that are extending out, you're gonna use tape and just tape them. So I'm showing you how it's been taped. So actually, Let me try removing it because I have done. For example, you have a flap like this. You're going to fold it and you're going to tape something out at the bottom and something just a little to hold the two corners that are actually flaps together. But you don't want to close the gap because essentially you're going to insert your sky chart. So what you have in this circle is actually the sky chart that you could use at any time of the year. You don't even need that website or anything. I mean, it's convenient, but at the same time, this is something that you could take with you and use it anytime when you don't even have internet connection. So you cut the whole thing out, Frank, which was what, the whole, this part? That's okay. I mean, if anything, you may just have to find another way for you to tape it in and hold it secure. But you know what? It's not all lost. If not possible, then maybe just reprint the sheet that was fully cut. So once you've done that, you have your cut part, you've taped all the flaps at the back. It's now just, you have this cutout window and you have, what you're seeing at the top over here is essentially a time dial. So what it's telling you is that for your sky chart, you are able to technically see anything from 7 p.m. onwards all the way till 5 a.m. Because why? The sun's not there. So anything that you might see in the night sky will not be blocked by any sunlight. So this is something that will really help because again, you don't have to look at anything when the sun is out. When you're going outside at night, this will actually help you figure out what's viewable in your location, which this is for North America, but it'll tell you what's up in the night sky any time of the year. So how many are ready and ready to move on to the next step? I'm gonna give 30 seconds, but and then we'll continue on. All right, as I see. Oh, I see some are still cutting. Great job. Some have their tape ready. Awesome. Some are running to. Yeah. All right, tape. Awesome. Okay. I see some annotations are still going on. So clearly we'll have to rethink on this from our side. That's okay, Austin, don't worry about it. Why don't you watch what we're doing, and then after our demo ends up, you have the access to the file, you can retry it, and I will place my email address in there, and feel free to reach out, or definitely join us, because we will expand on this little activity in our program. So I will encourage you to even try that. Okay, 30 seconds are up, let's get going. So now what you're gonna do is you have this part, it's nicely taped at the back. You're gonna take your circle and you're gonna, I'll show a side view if this helps, but you're gonna insert the circle into the flap. That flap was essentially a little holding piece. So mine looks slightly different because I got mine from somewhere else. It's not the printout version, but they're essentially from the same organization. So even if it looks slightly different, same idea, don't worry about it. So yeah, basically I inserted my circle into my little flap. Ginger, or username Ginger, well done, I see it, that's good. Yeah, that's really good. So, couple of things. Now that you have inserted it in here, you can actually now look at it directly. So I am looking at this view, but to you, it'll look like I'm looking at the back. So make sure now that you've flipped it over and you're seeing the dial, the time dial that we had, and the little hole, and part of that circle, the image that was on the circle is now, you can see it through this hole. So here's what this means. This is, congratulations, you have made your own star finder. That's what this whole thing is called. It's called a star finder. And what happens is, when you look at the star finder, you'll notice we had our times. I mentioned 7 p.m. to 5 a.m. But if you now notice, there's another little extra piece of information. That's from the circle part. And what you're seeing are actually months. You're seeing months and you're seeing dates, little tiny little lines that actually are reading you the dates. So for example, on mine, I have the January month right at the top, at the very top. And on the January, I'm able to see from my left, there's a dark bold line, but then there are little tiny black lines, and each one, at every 5 days, it's giving me a number. So it says January 5th or 10th or 15th or 20th or 25th. And essentially the second dark bold line between January and February is when the month is changing. So this is essentially a way for you to tell what time of the year we want to look at. So if everyone has had January at the top so far, what I'm going to ask you to do is now hold the star finder just so that they don't fall apart. But while you're holding it, rotate your circle so that we are now in what? June, right? Can you match up the month of June so that now June is at the top of your star finder? So I'll give you 30 seconds to do that. It's okay if it takes a little longer. I'll talk slow. So we're all turning our circle. Yeah, Ginger, awesome. June, I see that. Now I'm gonna ask you, what time did we try on the website? It was 9:30 when we started to see constellations. So now take your June, and now can you match up June to where 9:30 is on the little dial, the time dial? So it's not going to be at the top anymore. It's actually going to move a little bit to the right half, right? 9:30. And we want to match our date to today's date. What is today's date? 25th. So if you don't want to do, let's say 10 p.m. 10 p.m. is actually better. So June 25th, the date, can you line it up with 10 p.m. on your star finder, like the dial? And give us a thumbs up or a yes in the chat when you're ready. That's okay. We're gonna give it another minute or so, and then I'll continue on. But just as a reminder, you're gonna take your dial. You're gonna now line up the month of June and the date of 25th, which is today, to the 10 p.m. time slot. And when you're done that, I will add this 10 p.m. is not like actual 10 p.m. It is without any daylight saving. So it's actually 10 p.m. on this is actually 11 p.m. for us. So if that sounds confusing, or if it doesn't match up with what we should expect to see, that's why. There is no daylight savings time on this calendar. Okay, so I see a few of you have your cards up. This is exciting. Okay, so we have June 25th, 10 p.m. on our star finder. Now, what you're gonna do is help me out. Look in the center of this cutout where you're starting to see some constellations, maybe some blobs. Can you tell me, and maybe parents can help you at this point, can you tell us in the chat window what kind of a, what constellation do you see? What do you maybe see on the western horizon? So again, there are little clues on your card that tell you if you're looking north, if you're looking west, or if you're looking south. So read off the thing, and someone in the, oh, the letters are small. That is true. This is standard, but we should maybe, as a suggestion, we can, for future, try to print it out a little larger. I should remember to suggest that. So thank you, Ryan. No, Ryan, yes. Someone said Hercules. Sophie or Sophia? All right, Hercules. Yes, I see Hercules too. Excellent. Anyone else? Hercules is one. Do you see the Big Dipper? The one that we showed earlier? The Big Dipper is also in view. It's a bit more to the center of the map. Basically what you're seeing is the night sky map. And so Ursa Major, also known as Big Dipper, was mentioned. Hercules was mentioned. These are all the constellations that are available above our own head if we were to go outside and we didn't have any buildings blocking our view. And someone mentioned Libra, Lyra, excellent, Leo. Yes, some of these are common constellations that we have learned in everyday, I guess, learning. Draco. Draco is the name for a dragon. That's the shape of that constellation. So good eye, Draco. Scorpio. Yes. I'm curious if anyone has noticed this really, for me, it looks yellow on mine, but for you, I think it is a really dark, thick black line that is kind of having a shape. It's part of a circle, but you're not seeing the full circle. Do you see that? That line is essentially the path of the planets. So for us in our night sky, at 10 p.m. tonight, you should be able to see some planets. This map doesn't tell us what those planets are because each planet moves at a different rate. But with that website that I showed you, it'll tell you what planets are up. So if someone wants to write it in our chat from the website, what planets are up for 10 p.m. or 11 p.m. even, that'll give us an idea. But that is the path of the dark black line is the path of our planets. Some of the constellations like Scorpio, Libra, you may have heard them as zodiac constellations. That's because these are all the constellations that are in the sun's path. Like if the sun were up and actually moving along, these are the constellations in the background, which is why zodiac constellations are also part of our constellations in this chart. So at any time of the year, say in November, you may get to see different constellations that are zodiac and so on. Virgo, that is another one. And so those are some of the constellations that you get to see tonight. I will encourage you to always like turn it around and see what happens any other night of the year. You don't have to just have this up for tonight. You could go out even in the winter. Winter constellations are very much different than what we see in the summer. Some constellations are all visible for us year long, just because of the way North America is positioned on Earth. We can actually see some constellations all year round. And the other thing, it looks kind of like a little like, I guess it's like a faded patch in your star chart. That is actually the Milky Way. So back to the first picture that I showed you when we started this whole discussion, at certain times in the year, you may be able to also see the Milky Way up in the night sky. So I'm gonna leave it at this and encourage you to constantly use this anytime you wanna know what sort of constellations are up in the night sky. If by any chance you're able to go camping, be sure to take this with you because this is a very handy tool. You can get your parents to also help you read it and figure out what's in the night sky. And I look forward to hearing from anyone what you do end up seeing if you see some constellations in the night sky. So with that, I will leave it. And I'm now happy to also open up for any questions.
Hey, so 那下面呢，我们看看家长朋友们有没有什么问题，现在可以提出来。等一下，我打开这个。OK，好，可能家长这边没有什么问题了，因为我们也在我们的微信群里边都会有给大家很多的解答。我们一共是有3个适合不同年级的课程。那如果您有需要任何问题呢，您可以随时在微信群里边提出问题，好吗 ？OK，那我们今天的课程就上到这里。我们今天呢也非常的感谢Sparkling Education 对我们的大力支持。那如果您有什么需求，那请随时跟我们联系。OK。So thank you everyone for joining us today. I think Zoom is getting a bit weird today. There's no way to stop it. I don't know why. So yeah, maybe just need some upgrade or whatever. So
Maybe.
thank you, Dr. Shanka, for your time, and hope all our children here, the students here, will be able to learn a lot more from you in the next coming weeks. Okay.
I look forward to meeting you. So thanks for
everybody.
tuning in.
Okay, everyone,
Bye.
just wave your hand to Dr. Shanka and say goodbye.
Bye. Nice to meet you.
Bye. So everybody, yeah, waving your hand. Thank you so much for coming. Okay. Have a great evening. Okay.